My KESS project was getting energy from cattle manure, so a very good one. Well, I like to just reducing the greenhouse gas emissions from live sector agriculture, and it was a natural process that they do. There's 1 million of these units in China alone, small household units, and you just basically get any biodegradable material, put it in a sealed container without oxygen, so it's anaerobic. You leave it there for about 25 days and heat it to about 35 to 55 degrees Celsius depending. And then methane will just come off through a natural process. You take the methane and then burn it. So I was trying to place non-market values in that, which is pollution abatement, greenhouse gas reduction, pathogen destruction, all that kind of stuff, rather than just what it's worth in electricity sales and that kind of thing. So that was a basic summary of it. Yes, I think it did. It, in some ways more, because when we started the project, it was basically, I have an economics background, that's all I've ever done was economics. And when I came over here first, it was meant to be all economics, just valuation. And when we started, like every PhD, your first 6 months is a lit review. So you learn the whole thing. And what I actually found out, what we wanted to value, some of it wasn't already done scientifically. So I had to spend the first 2 years of the PhD in a lab, a soil science lab. So that was a whole new set of skills that I learned to do that before I could actually go and place an economic value on what I wanted to do for some certain thing. So it went beyond what I was meant to do, which was good in a way. Besides the fact that I thought I would be just doing economics, and that, the first time I never did science or anything like that, besides the fact that the first time I ever set foot inside any lab or anything, even from school, was when I came over here to Bangor, and so that was a big thing. But yeah, besides that, I think it was nice. I didn't like it at the start because it's a whole use. It's hard enough starting a PhD when you start, and because you're beginning and you come into a room with other people they've been doing a PhD for a while, or there's postdocs or there's professors, and next thing you're like a baby starting off, and so it's hard enough to start off and not know anything without having to learn something new. You're treading water basically for the first year, just hoping no one notices that you don't really know what's going on. And then you finally find out when you get talking to other people, when you're not afraid, that they were all treading water as well for the first year or two. So it's like that, it's okay. That's one thing you shouldn't forget. My advice to any PhD student is, don't worry, everyone is the same way. There's all is lost for the first year. I found that it was very good, and it was great because you get to meet other PhD students from other disciplines. And even though mine isn't too bad, as in, at least in my office, if it was a big enough office, you get to meet people. But there was a lot of people in the grad school who were on their own, and for them to meet other PhD students. But it's like anything, when you go through something, it's amazing. You start talking away, and then everyone goes through the exact same thing. It's a PhD. It's like a roller coaster, and that's what's great. It's just I think it's the thing that everyone is in the same boat as you. And another thing is, even though there was very different disciplines in that grad school. From they did things in their PhD, or we did things in our PhD. That actually, the way they looked at things would help you to do parts of your PhD better. So that's what it was. It was a good mixing of skills, I thought. The benefits and impacts. Okay, we'll go with the impacts first, and then just come back to me. The impacts are that it shows anaerobic digestion, which I do, it's considered renewable energy the same way as solar or wind. But the impact on it was we've actually shown that it's a pollution abatement technology as well, in that, so if you decide to invest in renewable energy, or the government or whoever, well, you want to do it, your main reason is to reduce fossil fuels, reduce carbon reduction, which that's very good. But where the likes with anaerobic digestion, what that can do is you can also reduce pathogens from cattle manure getting into water, which causes illness in people bathing, that kind of stuff. You take greenhouse gas emissions that would otherwise come from livestock manure volatilizing up, you take that away. So these are all impacts that we could see from it and try to value them. And then the benefit side of it is we've tried to show that maybe the way they currently, to explain it, when you have renewable energy, if you put solar panels on your house, the government will pay you money per kilowatt hour you produce for the electricity. And you don't have to, you can do what you like with that. They just give you that for producing renewable electricity. So what we showed was we tried to value these extra benefits, as I say again, the pollution abatement, the clean water, the reduction of, and we were saying that, well, maybe AD should get more money than solar, because although yes, they're all doing this, they all technically do the exact same, as in their main benefit is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuel usage. But these extra benefits, they should also be rewarded because they save the country money in the long run. The way, from an economics perspective, how you look at it is if someone gets ill from bathing water caused by E. coli from cat manure, well, that causes causes medical problems which have to be dealt with, which the government pay for. They might lose a week off work, which then their business loses. So this is how you try and do it, and all those. And if you can avoid those, and this system helps avoid these, well, then maybe you should pay for these. That works out in the long run. Well, the company itself I got on really good with them. They were a startup. Well, they had just about 2-3 years before I started, and Fre-Energy in Wrexham here. But they were very good. They were very good to work with, and they made it enjoyable. It was just nice because they made working with them very easy anyway. So that was nice. But from even just the industry side of it itself, what I found was you can get lost in the academic side of it too much, and there is some excellent academic work done, carried out, and because it's great when you're dealing with academics and only people in your own area, it doesn't go any farther. And when you work with industry, you can see they think different than academics because they're driven by different means, the same as academics are driven by different things. So you can see how to communicate. That's what I found. Although I'm getting the same message across, I've given presentations at academic conferences and I've given presentations at industry conferences. And basically I'm saying the same thing. You just tell them what you did for the last 6 months. But it's the way you tell it. And so you learn that it's a different way of getting your message across. That's what I want to get into industry when I'm finished. Get out of academia for a little while, probably come back, but it's just nice. But I've got that confidence now after seeing how industry works, and it's different than the way academic works. So that I think was a brilliant benefit to it, a real big benefit. Yeah, well, there's a lot that could be done. It's, again, with the pollution abatement side of it, there's so much work. As I said, we thought we were just going to be able to value it, but we couldn't value because there was too little done. So we just skimmed the surface, and we have valued. So we valued the benefits, the non-market benefits to the UK for 1% of livestock manure being anaerobically digested. That was the closing message in the PhD. And for that, it was between 1 and 5 million every year annually, which is a huge variance, and then you try and break that down. But I wouldn't have been able to do all the scientific work needed to get that. So what we've done is we've said, this is the big, it's like that. And we said, get more scientific research and you're getting in closer to the true value of what the government should pay for it, or what you recommend the government should pay for it. That's a different thing entirely. But yeah, that would be it. Well, never do a PhD again. I think I think when I have kids, I'll tell them you can do whatever you want, but just don't do a PhD. No, it gives me more confidence getting into definitely industry, as in, and I think if you had the PhD qualification on its own, it's obviously it's a very good qualification, and when you go for interviews for that, it shows you can do certain skill sets. And if you want to stay in academia, PhD qualification is fine. To prove yourself in academia, you do papers, and then that's how you get it. But especially, I think with the KESS thing and with the way it was linked with industry, for me, I really want to get into industry now because I've seen both sides of it. If I hadn't done it, I'd have only seen the academic side of it. And I might have said, well, I like it, it's okay. But just because I've seen the way the two of them work, it's industry for a while and see what that's like. So that would be the big thing with it. I think it has. It's again, it's learning. It's all learning, and it's just learning. Different people teach you different things. Like most of your lecturers, or even your mine supervisors, but a lot of people. But most people that are in academia, they tended to stay in academia. People do go into industry and then come back. So it gives you that different in how they look at it and what they expect, and just a different way of dealing with different situations and different people. So it really has it. It's just a new skill set. It's that's what it really. It's like you can learn to drive in an automatic, but then you won't be ever able to drive, with a stick shift. So that's all. It's still you're driving, but it's just you can learn new skills to do different things, which is the main thing. I think I should have paid 3 times as much. No, I can cut that out. No, my overall experience of KESS. Again, I really liked the way it was the industry and the academic side of it. That's, that was for me personally, that was the big thing. Maybe there's other people that they didn't like their industry. They didn't like working, and then I was lucky I had a very good industry partner as well, who were very easy work with. Same with your supervisors. You come across things that they want done or you don't want to do or things like that. But for months, you were doing the work, they were happy, and it was. But for the KESS thing, I'd say it was just the way it's been done is good, and it's just more, which is difficult, is the greater involvement with the company and the supervisors is the thing. Now mine were fine, but that's the thing, to keep it like that there's more communication. That sometimes it can happen that maybe you're talking to the company and your supervisor's talking to the company and you're talking to so it's like 3 rings. If it's to make it flow better, that it all goes through the one, just emails coming through the one source, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's about it. I like meeting the First Minister. That was really cool. It was just nice to have seen, the First Minister, and to see all that, and just to see the politicians, they see your work, they can enjoy it and that kind of thing. Just a few things like that, and that was probably the best of it. And there was a few talks and different things and the grad school was fun. The grad school was a whole lot of fun as well. So that was those 2 things that it would be specifically related to KESS rather than just the things that happened during the PhD as a whole would be the 2 main things. Yeah.